Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm going to do your July the 17th, just for today in a meditation. I greet you this morning wherever you are. The title of the meditation is an exciting one. This is my fourth take, so I can't pretend like I don't know the title. I do. Okay, we're going to get through this. Using our using dreams. Good title, right? Okay. Do we fully accept the fact that our every attempt to stop using or to control our using failed? That comes from the basic text, page 19. The room is dark. Your forehead is bathed in cold sweat. Your heart is racing. You open your eyes, sure that you've just blown your clean time. You've had a using dream, and it was just like being there. The people, the places, the routine, the sick feeling in your stomach, everything. It takes a few moments to realize it was just a nightmare, that it didn't actually happen. Slowly, you settle down and return to sleep. The next morning is the time to examine what really happened the night before. You didn't use last night, but how close are you to using today? Do you have any illusions about your ability to control your using? Do you know without a doubt what would happen once you took the first drug? What stands between you and a real live relapse? How strong is your program? Your relationships with your sponsor, your home group, and your higher power. Using dreams don't necessarily indicate a hole in our program. For a drug addict, there's nothing more natural than to dream of using drugs. Some of us think of using dreams as gifts from our higher power, vividly reminding us of the insanity of active addiction and encouraging us to strengthen our recovery. Let me reread that sentence. Some of us think of using dreams as gifts from our higher power, vividly reminding us of the insanity of active addiction and encouraging us to strengthen our recovery. Seen in that light, we can be grateful for using dreams. Frightening as they can prove to be great blessings if we use them to reinforce our recovery. Just for today, I will examine my personal program. I will talk with my sponsor about what I find and seek ways to strengthen my recovery. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. What a powerful meditation. Using our using dreams. I think it's important to analyze whether or not we are convinced, one, that we're addicts and that we can never use drugs again. There's a lot of thoughts out there about abstinence. There's programs that promote learning how to manage your drug use. I don't recommend them. I think those are for people that aren't sure that they're addicts. I'm sure that I'm an addict. And I'm also equally sure that I am a recovering addict. And there's no doubt in my mind. Questions here such as, how close are you to using today? If you've had a using dream, it's probably worth your while to answer these questions. This is a 5-star just for today in a meditation. This is one of those I would bend the page back, I would put a label on it. Um, this is an important meditation, and it's one that you can go to without having to read the whole chapter, Recovery and Relapse, or I'm not even sure what chapter this is taken from. But what I can say about it is that this is a good meditation and it's worth your trouble. If you've had a using dream, this is a meditation I would want to be able to go back to. Let me go to page 19 in the basic text. This is taken from the first question, right? The first sentence, which is a question on page 19 out of it, how it works. Before we even get to step one, right? The basic text even begins to discuss step one, it's asking you on that same page that it starts step one and how it works, it's asking you this question, right? It's asking you, do we rather fully accept the fact that our every attempt to stop using or to control our using failed? If I believe that recovery has to start there. It starts with the surrender. But shortly behind that surrender, right? Or it really starts with this, within the surrender, right? Because we admitted that we were powerless, right? We admitted that we were powerless. And so in the admission of the fact that we're powerless, right? We're no longer pretending that we can use or thinking that we can control it. I hope not, because that's indicative that there's probably a relapse, or maybe not even a relapse, just a return back to using. Because for a relapse, in my mind, you have to have some recovery. And if you're coming new to the program and you're still thinking that you can work your way out of this, if you've been sent here by the courts, I'm going to just go ahead and, have these papers signed, get my accolades in drug court, and soon as I graduate, I'm moving on. Well, I hope that there's a miracle. The gift of desperation actually hits you if that's what you're thinking. Because in step one, it says we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. So even in the admittance, this question should be answered for us. Do we fully accept the fact that our every attempt to stop using or to control our using failed? There has to be an epiphany about that. There has to be, in order to be able to move forward, because anything else is based on maybe pressure, peer pressure, court pressure, life pressure, family pressure, wife pressure, husband pressure, kid pressure, right? But this is a decision that has to be made by us ourselves, regardless to the circumstances. And it's just not that hard. All we have to do is look at the fact that our lives have become unmanageable and start going through all of the areas that are currently in a disarray. Have you ever gone to a newcomer's house to help them clean out their house? Of using paraphernalia or just to clean it so that they can live in their home without tripping over stuff? Have you ever been in that situation? It's nothing nice. Unmanageability, right, is not hard to acknowledge. It's usually very evident by the way we look, our health, unpaid bills, losing things, storages being lost, homes being lost, cars being taken, kids being taken, marriages failing, dishes piled up, bathroom is stank. There's so many things that we have that when we first come here that are actually unmanageable. It's not hard to look. I mean, you really have to be blind not to acknowledge our unmanageability. So, what happens when you have a using dream? You have to use that using dream to benefit and reinforce your recovery. This is what I learned. And I'll shut it down here because I can go on forever. I believe that people that live a life of relapse, going back out, coming back in, one, they're not convinced that they may not. They really do think they got another recovery. They really do. They're rolling the dice. They really think they have another recovery, first of all. Or they really don't think they're addicts. They just think they like to get high. Okay. Maybe you haven't been given the gift of desperation, or maybe it was one of those temporary gifts, one that had its value for a moment, but you need more. I don't really know. But I do know that if I'm having a using dream, I'm going to wake up from that using dream and I'm going to ask myself these questions. What did that dream mean? Because it says here using dreams don't necessarily indicate a hole in our program for a drug addict. There's nothing more natural than to dream of using drugs. I don't know if that's natural or not. I never considered dreaming about using drugs natural. But I think the point is that we shouldn't be surprised as drug addicts if we have these using dreams. We shouldn't be surprised. And they could indicate a hole in our program, and they could not. But regardless, if we're living in just for today and staying present in the moment, we've had the dream. So what do you do with the dream? You don't ignore it. I mean, some people do. Me, I don't ignore my dreams. I take a look at them, try to figure out what the symbols are, because a lot of times they're symbols. So a lot of times they're just spicy food too. But more often than not, they're symbolic. We talk about a spiritual program all the time. This is a spiritual program, not a religion. And so we should not be surprised that things come up that are spiritually connected. We should not be surprised that our dream life, which is very spirit based, is active. Because in reality, our spirit, right, never rests, it never sleeps. And so we shouldn't be surprised that we would have this level of spirituality while we sleep called dreaming. And I personally just am not a person to disregard it. I want to know if it was symbolic. I want to know if it was flesh based, right? I want to know if it was God given. I want to know if it was lower destructive power given. I need to know that. And I'm not saying that you need to know it. I just know that I need to know it. I take my dream life very seriously. And I can probably count the number of using dreams I've had since I've been here in recovery in 30 years. I've probably had a handful, literally. I'm not even sure if I can count on all 5 fingers, but I've had few, but I have had some. And I don't ever remember feeling, oh, let's just jump up and have a great day behind a using dream. I don't ever remember feeling that way. I remember getting to a meeting, calling my sponsor, getting to a meeting. I remember waking up afraid to go back to sleep. I remember pulling out, a journal, writing on it. I remember weeping, sobbing, feeling like I thought the taste for using had been taken out of my mouth and realizing it was still there. I was dumbstruck by it. But I quickly put into gear getting to a meeting and sharing about it and analyzing where I was at in my recovery and make sure there's no holes. And I remember a few people sharing back to me, "You're going to be okay. You're in the right place. You're right where you need to be, baby." I remember people sharing like that with me after I would talk about my using dreams. And I would sob. I'm talking about sob. You would thought my mother had just died. I would sob because I wanted so desperately to be free from the desire to use. And here it was in my sleep, showing its face. But I did all of the right things because, I'm still here. August 28th of this year, I'll have 30 years. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something very special. In the comments down below, if you're listening, put a comment if you would like an invitation to whatever I do special, because I'm going to do something special. So I want you to write invite me. In the comments below, I want you to write invite me. I'm going to do something very special for my clean time this year, 30 years. Now, on the day, August 28th, I believe it's going to be a Monday, and I will be making my way back from a cruise, celebrating my wedding anniversary, celebrating my ministry, celebrating my podcast progress here, celebrating my clean time. So it's going to be a very active week and an active day, but I am going to do something very special for my 30 years. And it may not be on the 28th, and it may be. But what you can do, let me tell you one thing I will be doing, that if you want to join me for the actual celebration, in the comments, in the description down below, you're going to see the title of an NA meeting. That's my home group called Feel the Love Group of NA. I want you to know that that starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? We're on the same time as New York right now. So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, usually the room is open. The Zoom room is actually open around 6:30, 6:45 at the latest. If that's you out there and you want to join me just for the actual day, I'm not doing anything super special that day, but if you want to join me for a meeting and share who you are, and let me get to know you that way and you get to know me, come on out. I invite you. I invite you. I should be on screen. I'm not really sure. I may be in the car traveling. But I will be at that meeting. So I look forward to seeing you. But if you want to be involved in something super special, write invite me, and I will be sure to do that. Listen, I've enjoyed your company this morning. I want to move on to the next meditation. It's 4:30 a.m. I want to move on to spiritual principles a day in a meditation. And I invite you to stay tuned for that after this posting. Have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to, and talk to you soon.